What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for clicking on this video if you're new here. If you like what you see in here, please hit subscribe. So we're going to be talking about episode 3 of With Love Meghan, and this episode is called Two Kids from LA, and the guest is Roy Choi. This was the episode that I enjoyed the most because Meghan was a background character. And what I mean by that is that this actually had a real professional person who cooks all the time for his job, so he knew his way around the kitchen, and Meghan was truly just a sous chef. And this episode had the infamous scene where Roy says that he likes to listen to metal while butchering meat, and she's like, "No, you don't. No, you don't listen to no. What? Speed metal? What is speed metal? What's yacht rock, Meghan? What is yacht rock?" Because she said she likes to listen to yacht rock. I've never heard of that genre in my whole life. What is that? Would you care to inform us? Because what? All right. So, the pros of this episode. The food looks great because Roy is the one who is telling Meghan what to do again, and he asked her to brine some chicken. He made some Korean barbecue, made watermelon kimchi, which I think is very interesting, and a bunch of side dishes. And the food just looked good because, again, Meghan would never have thought about this in her life. But she said that she grew up eating soul food, which is not true. And then she said that Harry loves fried chicken, which I don't believe that crap. I don't believe that. I personally just don't believe that. I think Harry and Meghan, other than him eating fish and chips, because he's British, I think they eat like Michelin star meals and farm to table organic food. And if it's chicken, it has to be her baked chicken, and she bakes chicken 150 different ways. That's my personal opinion. I don't think he eats fried chicken. I don't think they even eat salt like that. Because she's like, Harry puts salt on everything, so I undersalt things. But then she's like, oh, I love hot sauce. So, like, I think when it comes to palates, it goes all the way. If you like flavor, you like flavor, and you could just tell him, can you not salt this because I already salted it? Yeah. All right. Let me go through my notes, because I had to take notes, of course. All right. She wakes up in the morning and makes donuts and sprinkles the edible flour sprinkles that she's been putting throughout every episode. The donuts, to me, I've never made donuts, but they look a little maybe undercooked. I think they should have been more golden brown. Like, I was just confused at why they were so pale. But other than that, they didn't look terrible. But the weird part is Meghan keeps saying she hates baking. She doesn't like making cakes, but she keeps making cakes. I do it for somebody that I love. And then she says, she said something like, my kids would love this about donuts. Something odd that made me feel like her kids have never eaten a donut before, because instead of saying, oh yeah, you know, my kids love donuts, it was kind of like, I think it was the first time she'd ever made donuts. She doesn't seem like the person to buy donuts, in my opinion. She seems, remember when Kourtney Kardashian became like a super duper all-in mom, like, my kids can't have sugar, they can't have this ingredient, they can't have that ingredient. And someone in Variety magazine had said during that giant expose that Meghan calls, not Variety, sorry, Vanity Fair, that Meghan calls restaurants to ask about ingredients. So, like, I just feel like she's what the real Meghan, in my opinion, is the Meghan that was written about in the Cut magazine, where Meghan said afterwards that she was too trusting, but she said that manners, like, she said that she tells Archie manners make the man, salt and pepper go together. Like, she seems like one of those people who's like, you need to have etiquette. Archie, no, etiquette. You need to act like this, behave. And he's literally a child. That's why the whole, oh, do you want to water this grass? Oh, only if you want me to. That was heartbreaking. Like, that was just depressing, because there was a Instagram video where allegedly whoever is supposed to be Archie, she's like, oh, do you want to water the grass? And he's like, only if you want me to, mommy. Not a kid who's like, oh, mom, it's my turn, and is playing around with the water. Like, okay, all right. Number 2, no gloves while handling the chicken. I feel like if it's in your own kitchen, it doesn't matter as much because you and your family share germs anyways. But she's always touching her hair. So I personally, for sanitation's sake, felt very uncomfortable because she's always touching her hair. There's just a lot happening. She doesn't have her hair in a bun when it's appropriate, which is cooking times. So I just felt like to be touching vegetables, chicken, raw chicken, just if they just gave them plastic gloves, I would have been like, okay, I wasn't eating the food, but I feel like if you're cooking for lots of people, you need to like wear a hairnet, like be super duper like clean, you know? Whereas if it's just you cooking for you, it doesn't really matter. All right. Like I said, hair constantly down while handling the food. She said she fries chicken and how her husband loves fried chicken. But then she's scared of oil. So whenever she has to be near a stove where there's any sort of oil or boiling water, she looks like she wants to run away, which is obvious of someone who doesn't cook. Then she says when it's time to open the alcohol, oh my god, when it's time to open the alcohol, she says, I can't fry a chicken, but I can open a bottle of champagne. Okay. That was all. That was literally all I had for that episode. Wow. That was all, because I know there are people who are going by it literally like line by line and trying to come up with things, but those are all my notes. And this has only been 6 minutes, so I'm going to go into the next episode, which is number 4, Love is in the Details with Delphina. And my notes were hiking and frittata. Okay, so she opens this up by talking about how as a child she was so fascinated by sun tea, which is where you get a giant mason jar and put bags of tea inside and lukewarm water, and then you put it outside and the sun heats it up. I was born in Austin, Texas, and lived in Nashville, Tennessee, and I have never heard of sun tea in my life. And I'm not saying it didn't exist, but like I'm confused as to how is it that me in Texas didn't hear about this. I don't know. It was weird. I was like, what is she talking about? We don't sit there and say, like, she's like, yeah, it was just so fascinating. I would just sit there and watch, look at the tea. It's like, because she's always trying to come up with this, I was a nerd, I had no friends, nobody liked me, and I just came into my own somehow in my 30s and then became a duchess. Oh, I'm the girl from Suits. How did I get here? Like, so she's always trying to sell this fantasy that she was some lonely, sad, depressed orphan Annie child sitting there watching the paint peel and watching the tea bag steep in the sun. So she makes this giant thing of hibiscus tea. That's fine. She puts it in the backyard, leaves it there. All right, fine. Okay. And then she starts talking about her time living in Argentina. It was 5 weeks for an internship, but she literally talks like she lived there for like 10 years, okay? And how, they had this tea called mate, and how it tastes like rope. R-O-P-E. Okay, in Japan, there's a thing called natto, which is fermented soybeans. I don't remember ever eating natto, but I would never in my life insult it that way on national TV like it's a joke. But Meghan has no class, no decorum, she's uncouth, and so she has to make a joke out of everything and everybody. But imagine me coming onto her show and being like, oh, beige again, huh? Wow. Another beige outfit, look at that. Oh, wow, isn't it hard to cook with all your jewelry on? Wow, you just love that gold watch. Wow, that Cartier bracelet, like, I saw a picture of you way back before you met H and you had that bracelet on. Wow. Wow. You think she'd be laughing? No. Okay. So she's talking about this Argentinian tea, how it just grows on you, and everybody in Argentina gets together and drinks a mate, and it's just this community. And wow. All right, my next note is that she is making something with lemon, and do you know she uses her fingers as a strainer? And I was so repulsed when I saw that I had to pause it. Instead of just squeezing the lemon on top of whatever she's making like normal people, she put the lemon in her hand and squeezed it and used her fingers as a strainer. Oh my God, that's nasty. Who does that? But it turns out Delphina does that because she did it later. And I'm like, what is with these people? Is this like some rich housewife thing where we just forgo any sort of like sanitary anything? Okay, Delphina comes and then she makes her take her shoes off because she's wearing shoes. And Meghan, I guess, cooks barefoot or whatever. That's fine if it's your house. But if it's like, I don't know, it was weird. Like, so yeah, she makes you take her shoes off, and they're talking about how she's gonna make focaccia bread. She's like, oh, you're finally gonna teach me. And the funny part is that Meghan keeps saying all these things. Oh yeah, she made dog biscuits, but that was very uneventful. It was not anything like worth like delving into. But she was like, oh, you never taught me how to make focaccia. I want to learn. She's like, oh yeah, I learned how to make it recently. It's very easy. Like, she keeps saying throughout these 8 episodes, I learned this recently about the popcorn, the bath salt. So literally everything was right before they started filming. She was jotting down these notes and saying, oh, coming up with a collection, watching YouTube videos of how to make bath salts, because she's like, I learned this recently. Aren't you some big host I have this collection of recipes? And on her As Ever website, she's like, oh, I've been a long time lover of hosting. But everything is, oh, I learned this recently. I learned this. She keeps slipping. Like, she literally keeps slipping. All right. So I said the high production doesn't stop the food from looking bad, because what did she make? She keeps making crudité, like these vegetable platters, and it's like, oh my God, like, are all your friends vegetarians and vegans? It was just not giving. All right. She makes a cheese board, and she says, I kid you not, let's find different moments for color. And she says this so seriously. She's like, this is all about finding different moments for color for me when I make a cheese board, when I make charcuterie. Like, let's put these olives right here next to the salami. Different moments for color, guys, on a freaking cheese board. I don't even think that King Louis the 14th like would even say something that ridiculous when it comes to a cheese board. Oh, there's not enough olives. You didn't find moments of color. Back to the kitchen. And then she says, I like finding different layers of textures and balance. And then I said, extreme navel gazing. That was one of my other notes. Then she was only in Argentina for 5 weeks, like I said. And she claims she lived there for months. And they're like, when Delphina asked, what's your favorite memory of Argentina? She's like, oh my gosh, the food and the wine and the community. So you were in college doing an internship, and I get it, other countries you can drink at 18 or 20, but like I didn't drink underage, but I would never admit if I did on camera, because you were not graduated, right? So like, what? And the food and the wine is not a memory of a place. Like, if I said, what's my favorite, Tumi, what's your favorite memory of Japan? Well, the first time, my favorite memory was the day that I got there. It was very hectic. I was a little lost. I didn't have cell phone service, and it was also drizzling, but my best friend and I, we finally met after 11 years of being pen pals, and we went out to eat at this restaurant where we had like a full table spread of different types of sushis, and they got me a cake that said welcome to me, which was so sweet. And then behind us there was a private group of what I assume businessmen, because they were literally laughing so loud, and Japanese people only laugh extremely loud when they're having like a drinking party or a work party and they let loose. So that was my first favorite memory from Japan, and just being there in general was just great. And I got to see places that I always wanted to see, like Shibuya Crossing. That was the first time I ate Korean hot dogs, because me and Seiko got these Korean corn dogs in Shibuya, and they were like so good, because the way Koreans make them is sometimes they have it's a corn dog, but then on the outside it'll have chunks of potatoes, and then just the way that they fry it, it just tastes different, and some of it is topped with sugar, which sounds kind of crazy, but it is very good. So that was the first time I had Korean hot dogs. And we went to Kyoto, me and Seiko and her mom, we went to Kyoto for 2 days, and unfortunately we didn't see any real geisha, but we got to wear kimonos and we rented them, and we just had a great time, and we got to walk around and just see the sights, and it was beautiful. And we got to see different shrines, and those are my favorite memories of the first time that I went to Japan. I wasn't like, oh my god, the food and the wine and sitting around. I can do that downstairs in my house, in my living room. I can eat food and wine and sit around. And the community. So her and Delphina went hiking, and then they came back, ate their focaccia bread that did not look appetizing. I can't even remember what they really ate as a main course with the focaccia bread. I can't remember because it was just unmemorable. And they had alcohol and basically pushed their hibiscus tea to the side. Oh, and Meghan taught us how to make lavender hand towels, because she took a bunch of hand towels and said, think of this as a gym towel. You would not use a white towel as a gym towel. There were white little hand towels, like 10 of them, and she said that we should get a giant bowl and put lavender oil inside and put the towels inside of the bowl and then put them in the fridge. So when we come home after a long, hard day of work, we can just get ourselves a little lavender towel and cool off. And then after their walking session, they changed and then went to go have a little picnic. And that's all I remember from the episode. And they had alcohol, and Meghan was overjoyed. Like, again, like I said, she was so... Every time she gets to open a bottle of alcohol, she is truly, truly happy. And that was that episode. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye-bye.